Thank you. So, thank you, Yumi. Um, in her place, I'll go ahead and ask Alexa to introduce yourself with your year, your major, and your dream job. Sky's the limit. Maybe she's not on. How about Mia? Mia, would you mind?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So my name is Miyaka, and sorry, what was the question?
Your
Uh,
year, your major, and your dream job.
so I'm a second year. I'm majoring in psych, and my dream job is to be either a teacher or a therapist. Yeah.
Thank you. And you can choose the next person.
Uh, has Maria gone yet?
No. Hi,
No, I
Maria.
have not. Hi, hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, good to see you
Yeah,
or hear you.
yeah. So, hi, my name is Maria. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm currently in my second year. I intend to major in Spanish with a minor in business, and I'd say my dream job is to become a foreign service officer.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Let me see. Uh, I'm not good with pronouncing names if I'm honest. Okay, so I apologize if I butcher your name. I'm gonna go with it starts with uh Parikriti. Am I saying that right? No, I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Prakriti,
Yes, correct.
are we pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, you're like, you're close.
Could you?
How how do you pronounce it? I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're fine. It's Prakriti.
Prakriti.
Pretty. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
beautiful name. I'm sorry.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Go
No,
ahead.
you're good. Let's see. I'm a freshman. I'm majoring in psych, and my dream job would be to my dream job is becoming a clinical psychologist.
Feel free to call on the next person.
Let's see. I'm looking. One sec. Silas. Silas, maybe.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Silas. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am currently majoring in biology. I'm a third year student, and I hope to be a lab technician or an evolutionary biologist.
Thank you.
See, Justin?
Oh, he went already.
Oh, okay.
Me
Oh,
and Hong and Malau
okay.
and Manash.
Oh, so they've all gone?
No, those are the ones that have.
Sorry. Oh, give me 1 minute. My Zoom is being a little crazy. All right. Um, Wait, who did you say hadn't gone yet? Sorry.
Manash, Hong.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Hung.
Hello everyone. My name is Hang Pham. My pronouns is he, him, his. I'm majoring in computer science and I'm hoping to become a software engineer.
Okay, great.
Mm.
So
Marco P.
Manash or Vivian.
Who hasn't gone up yet?
We have me, Vivian, and Manash.
Vivian.
Oh, I went already.
And Manharsh.
Hi, my name is Manharsh, and I'm a first year student at C Denver, and I'm majoring in computer science. My pronouns are he, him, and my dream job would probably be a software developer or engineer. And then Ni.
Hi, I'm Nee. My pronouns are she, hers, and hers. I'm currently majoring in public health, but also human development and family relations. And my dream job may be in the social work field.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else? Daylene.
Hi, Hi, Daylene. I know you just joined us. Thank you for coming on. We're just doing introductions, and we're just saying our name, our year in school, and our major, and what we want to do, our dream job.
Oh, okay. Well, hi, my name is Lena. I guess like I'm a first year student at CU Denver, and I don't have a major yet, but I'm planning to do biochem. And I guess in the future, I really hope to be a dermatologist.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. I'll go ahead and put my video on. Sorry if I'm looking on the slide. I have two monitors, so my eye sort of goes over there. But I again, thank you all for coming, and I'm so excited that we have a number of first-year students here. Woohoo! You're off to a good start with your academic career. I want to just introduce myself. My name is Soyan Bueno. A lot of times people, yep, there I am. Soyan Bueno, and my title here on campus is the Director of Asian American Student Services. And I've been in this role for 7 years. Prior to that, I worked for the TRIO Student Support Service Office. And prior to that, I worked in academic advising in TRIO at Fort Lewis College. So I'm really old. I've been in higher education for 20 plus years, but I really started when I was only 10. So early, so not that old. One of my roles at CU Denver as the Director for Asian American Student Services is really to do some outreach and support for Asian American students here. I don't know if when you are on campus and when we open, you will see that it is very diverse with our student population, and you'll see that we have a number of Asian American students that attend CU Denver. According to the latest data, we have about 1,500 Asian American students on the CU Denver campus, which is almost about 10%. And I can't wait for you to come when we're actually back to normal, where you can see just the diversity on our campus. And so one of our goals as a part of the Asian American Student Services, and we're actually part of a larger program department called the Center for Identity and Inclusion. And that includes our American Indian Student Services, Black Student Services, Latinx Student Services, and we also do a lot of programming related to mixed heritage, because that's one of the fastest growing population. But we are really here for all students who want to learn about diversity, equity, and inclusion and social justice issues. So we really welcome everyone to our office, which is in Student Commons building, room 2007. So again, when we're back to normal life, please stop by. It's bustling with lots of student staff who are welcoming and really want to be here to connect with you. Because studies show that students who feel connected either with other students, are engaged on a student club, are connected with faculty and staff at some level, that really helps with your success in school. Because I think all of us, want to feel a sense of belonging and a sense of feeling like we matter. And so our CII, we like to consider ourselves home away from home. And each of the directors that serve the individual programs, we really focus on multiple things depending on the need. For us, for AASS, we really want to focus on doing some cultural programming, because a lot of times we don't, Asian Americans are so diverse, right? We come from the biggest continent and we have 100 different ethnicities, 40 different languages, no common religion. And so how do we meet the needs of all the different diverse students? Some are recent immigrants that just came here as refugees from Myanmar. Others are 5th generation, 4th generation Japanese Americans. So it's pretty diverse. But we're really lucky here at CU Denver in that we have a number of student cultural clubs. We have about 6 active Asian cultural clubs that are open to all students who want to learn about Asian culture or want to be in community with other students. And they play a pivotal role, in my opinion, and connecting with each other, connecting with other students, really celebrating your traditions and your culture, and really developing that sense of community. And one of those clubs is CASL, the Council for Asian Student Leaders. And they really were instrumental in creating these series of workshops, professional development workshops, leadership workshops to really help you connect with each other, but also important for you to get some skill sets that you may not necessarily get in the academic classroom. So here's a photo of me, a little bit about me. I'm Korean American. I actually went for undergrad for a degree in economics because I thought I wanted to first be a chemical engineer, and I like bombed like some of my chemistry labs, and it's just like, okay, this is going to be really hard. And so I switched to economics thinking I'll be in business. And then I pursued a minor in Asian studies where I got to study abroad in Japan and Korea. And then after working for a corporate 500 company for 4.5 years, I just decided this business wasn't the route for me. And I decided to go back to graduate school and really didn't know what graduate program I wanted to do. So I just, it was just by happenstance that I was at that Fort Lewis College, and I just connected with this person who happened to be a faculty member in the School of Education. And he was telling me about a master's degree in student affairs. And I graduated in 1998, so 22 plus years. And I've been in education, but I also owned an internet business for a while with my ex, and have done a variety of different things in between. So we're really, happy to be providing you with this workshop, and we're pleased that we have partnering with the Career Center and our student organization to deliver the content, and we have a great panel that'll share their expertise. And I want to do a shout out to Kathy Lay. She is our president. And unfortunately, she's in an exam for her class, but she'll be joining us later. But I'll hand it over to Kath Wen, who is our event coordinator, who will tell you a little bit more about CASL. Take it away.
All right, so my name's Kath. What we do as CASL is we work with Asian American students and also try to emphasize the importance of having leadership and the importance of building our skills, and we just have a lot of workshops, and we host that for a lot of the Asian American crew, and yeah, that's what we do for the most part. I'm an event coordinator, and then we work closely with ASS. Soyeon mentioned it before, and we're pretty much the umbrella of all of the Asian American clubs in CU Denver.
And I want to do a special shout out. Last year, CASL was elected Outstanding Student Organization, and Kathy Lay, the president this year and co-chair last year, was elected Outstanding Student Leader. So really, thank you so much to our student leaders for being a part of this organization, and to all our cultural club leaders, because they do a phenomenal job in connecting with each other.
Yeah, so pretty much most of the exec board is all student leaders of all of the Asian clubs on campus. So reach out to any one of us. We're probably a different officer for a different club. I'll pass it on to our other officers. So I'll pass it on to Honey. Are we doing introductions?
Oh, okay. My bad. Oh no, let me go back. Okay, so I'm Honey. This year I'm taking the position for social media specialist. So yeah, just reach me out if you have any questions regarding the club, and I can give you some resources about the campus and stuff like that, as much as I know. And I will pass it on to Manoj.
Hi, I'm Manharsh, and I'm taking the position of treasurer this year. Like Honey said, you can reach out to me, and I'll try my best to get you with like sources or whatever you need. Oh, and I'll pass it on to Pavna.
Hey guys, I am Pavna, and here, I'll be brave and I'll turn on my video. Hey, look.
You're always beautiful. Oh, you're on mute. Pavna, you're on mute.
Yeah, I figured as I was halfway through my sentence. Oh my gosh, my camera is so dirty.
You're on mute again.
Just out of all the days, today's the day I'm going to have technological issues. So my name is Pavna, and I am the advisor to CASL. I remember when CASL started, I was in Soyeon's office, and it was really exciting. So that gives you a little bit about my age. I am old. And yeah, if you need anything, trust me, I've been through all the hoops and fires and everything, so I'd be more than happy to help.
Okay, I'll introduce myself. So I'm Kathleen. I'm this year's secretary, and actually I'm going to shoot out a link in the chat, and if everyone could sign in whenever they have time, that would be awesome. And so yeah, just as Honey and Manhunt said, if you guys have any questions or need any resources, all the officers are all welcoming with open arms, and so we'll help get you connected if we don't know the answers to stuff.
Yeah, so that was everyone on the board, right, for CASL. So Kathleen made a good point about how we're relaying to resources, and we're a very good place to reach out to if you need any help. So we're one of the, so on the next slide, one of the programs we are providing is the Peer Mentor, Peer Connector program. So if you want to sign up, most of us are actually mentors in that program. So if you're interested in getting connected and having someone give you a little more advice, give you some guidance as you go through your college career, and just have someone to connect to throughout your year here at CU Denver. You can still sign up. It's the Peer Connector program, and we can, if you're interested, just let one of us know, and we'll give you more information about it. And then, of course, we have the CASL workshop. This will be the first one, and it's the career preparation. For our next meeting, we're going to have the mental health one, and that's going to be in October. And then in November, we're going to have the leadership one. So if you are interested in staying along and hang out with us for the rest of the semester, please come to our workshops. As another part of CASL, we also have Food for Thought. It's one of our guest lecture series. So usually when we have this event, it's usually on campus, and we have food and then just a good time communicating with our guest speakers who talk about Asian American and Pacific Islander issues. And for this upcoming one, we're having one on September 22nd. And it's going to be about Asian American fight against racism. We're going to have another one in October on pursuing citizenship in enforcement era, and then another one in November, which is model minority and the impact on mental health. If you have time, it's from 12:30 to 1:45, and it's just once a month. So if you have time, please drop by and learn more about all of these issues, Asian American issues. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our speaker. His name is Nick. He's from the Career Center, which is part of Links Connect, and he'll tell us more about himself and what Links Connect does.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much everyone for having me. It's really excited to connect with students. I love doing these types of events and then particularly meeting in person. It's something that energizes me, but I still am so happy to be here digitally and meet you all here. So if you ever need me or I can be a resource for you as well, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find my contact information on our website, but just another tool to support you through your college journey. So really what Links Connect is it is a housing of 4 different offices you see here. The Career Center, Career Services, the Experiential Learning Center that supports with internships, undergraduate research that's all designed to help students gain that first research experience, and even research outside of your life sciences. So it's not just bio and chemistry, but quite frankly, computer science or any other major that's out there. The whole office is designed to get students introduced to research and not scare them away from it. And then the last office being Office of Global Education or Study Abroad. So they really support with doing internships abroad, semesters abroad, just little trips that could be for like a break or summer, anything like that. And so really the way that we think of Links Connect is that these offices are all designed to help you develop outside the classroom, helping you to be able to take what it is you're learning in the classroom and apply it to many different avenues, you know, careers and job searching or on-campus positions, internships that give you an ability to test out certain career directions or use certain knowledge, being able to do undergraduate research for that application to graduate school or a particular medical program or any other program for that matter. And then also to study abroad, being able to help increase that cultural competency, helping you to learn more about yourself and being able to, quite frankly, represent some very, very important skills and competencies to employers. And that's the ability to be culturally fluent and be able to interact and work with many different people. So again, the whole idea of Links Connect is to capitalize on your degree and apply it out in the world. So you can meet with us anytime that you like. All of our offices are meeting students via Zoom. You can schedule appointments for career services, internship advising, or undergraduate research through Handshake. That is our internship and job board, but also to kind of our service platform. So even if you need things like interview support or you need help on writing that resume, we have a whole resource library inside Handshake that's super, super helpful. So you can always go there and be able to leverage any of those resources or use them anytime you need. Also, all of these offices and all of those resources are available to you after graduation. So we are here for you as an alumni. We are part of this ever-continuing support network for you as you progress through CU Denver and even well after graduation also. Cool. So there, I was gonna say, that is my contact information. Feel free to write it down if you like. Same thing, you got a link to our website there. So that way, if you ever need to get to us, you can quickly find it. But quite frankly, you can Google my name and you would find me and my contact information. Very similarly, you can Google Links Connect and you'll be taken right to us. So again, use and abuse me anytime you need. If you're ever considering how to plan out that career direction, how to think about how to apply your major or how to test out certain career ideas, like Soyeon and I mentioned about ourselves, right? We tried on a lot of different careers. We've taken on a lot of different things. So if we can help to talk about that concept and help you navigate it, please always know that we're here to help as well.
Okay, so that's all the slides that I got for now. We are supposed to have like a question slide, but I don't know why it's not on here. Let me double check.
So now, thank you all. Thank Nick. I would highly recommend you all check out the Links Connect. Again, there's 4 different departments in this beautiful building. So when you come on campus, it's right near the Tivoli Student Union, but they have a wealth of experience, expertise, and can help you get some internships so that while you're in undergrad, you can get some really relevant work experience. And that's sometimes the best training ground to figure out what you like and what you don't like and what you want to do. But as you can tell, Nick is super friendly, really knowledgeable, so definitely follow up with him. So what we want to do is really delve into our panel because we have some really great alumni that have joined us that are formally part of the panel, but some additional alumni are just going to join us to provide and share with you some of their advice. And so I want to introduce our 2 moderators, which is Nick and also Kath, our event planner. So thank you both for moderating the panel. They have some questions that they'd like to pose to each of the panelists, and I'll maybe have each of the panelists introduce themselves, and I'll hand it over. So we'll start with Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Thank you for coming.
Be here.
Yeah. If you could tell us a little bit about who you are, your organization, and then I know Nick and Kath have a number of different questions to follow up with you.
Sure. Greetings, everybody. I'm Teresa Kostenbauer, and I oversee university relations and the internship program for Aero Electronics. We're headquartered here in Colorado, and we're a global company that we're in about 450 locations around the world. Before I've been at Aero for about 6 or 7 years now. And before that, I actually worked for CU Denver at the Anschutz Medical Campus and helped start the Career Center for the School of Public Health. And before that, I was at the University of Denver working with graduate students in the Daniels College of Business. And I worked at Charles Schwab a little bit, and also Colorado State University in the Career Center. So I'm very happy to be here. And we have anywhere from, we had a virtual internship program this year. I specialize in diversity and inclusion. I identify as a first generation woman of color. I'm actually part Japanese. You have to look hard, but I also lived in Japan, and I'm part Hispanic, and also come from a low socioeconomic background. So looking forward to being of assistance and really helping all of you succeed has sort of been my passion and what makes me get out of bed in the morning. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you very much, Teresa. We do appreciate you being here. I figured we could also do a quick little introduction for some of our other panelists. So honestly thinking, Jeffrey, you're right next to me, so I'll go ahead and just kind of have you introduce yourself once more for some of our new students that have joined us.
Sure. Let's see. I don't know where to begin. As I mentioned, I graduated at CU Denver in 2015 with a double major in marketing management. Let's see, a little bit about myself. I originally wanted to become a music teacher going into college, but then found that music was more of a hobby, but teaching was kind of a passion. I actually kind of found that in business and mentoring. So I've spent a lot of time, I had coached the CU Denver Dragon Boat team, for anybody that knows about that. So I'd coached that for a while, and now run a nonprofit for the Dragon Boat, Colorado Dragon Boat Alliance is what it's called, for all of Colorado. So I'm doing kind of that on the side. I also started my own business to help smaller businesses, because I actually grew up in my parents' restaurant. I watched them as entrepreneurs work day in, day out, 365 days a year. And so I myself is also a first generation student. So, and then back in my junior year, I actually got an internship actually at Aero Electronics. So I did that for a little bit. And then when I got out of college, or about ready to get out of college, I think in my mind, I was freaking out like many students do, right? Thinking, oh my God, I need to find a job. And then the winter break came about. And from that time, I had a friend that told me about this job at Oracle. And I applied, and by the time I got back to school, I actually got the job offer. So I'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's just kind of a huge, big, long elevator pitch.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeffrey. I really appreciate it. And I think, again, we'll have Justin, if you don't mind, kind of jumping back in and just share a little bit more about yourself as well.
Okay. Like I said before, I graduated from CU Denver in 2017 with my major was in biology. And now I'm currently a fourth year pharmacy student at CU Anschutz campus. I'm currently I'm on my third rotation out of the 8, so near the end of graduation. So yeah, and I plan just to either be a clinical pharmacist or a retail pharmacist this upcoming after graduation.
Awesome, Justin. Appreciate it so much. One of our other panelists as well is Pavna. Pavna, was there anything else that you would like to say in your introduction?
Hey, Pavna, you're muted.
Yep. Again? Oh my God. I'm just going to stay on unmute this entire time now. So I'll just go over my majors really quick. So I graduated with my bachelor's of science in psychology with a minor in biology and ethnic studies. Went on from there and joined Teach for America and was a teacher for 2 years. My career journey has been nothing. It's a zigzag. It's not a straight line. And then while I was teaching, I decided to pursue my master's in education. So I did that. And then while I was in my next career, I decided to come back to school for information systems. So that kind of gives you a little bit about me. I'm sure you'll have questions, but I'm here to answer and I'll be unmuted, I promise.
Awesome, Pavna. Thank you so much. And it looks like too, someone informed me that Scott had joined as well, being an alumni, might be able to offer some advice for our panel as well. So Scott, would you like to introduce yourself really briefly?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. Sorry for being late today. My name is Scott. I am a fourth-year medical student at CU Anschutz campus. Graduated alongside Justin in 2017. I graduated with a major in biology and a minor in leadership studies. Currently planning to apply into anesthesiology residency in about a month here. So that's very exciting. Also, since May, have been in the hospital caring for patients, COVID and non-COVID. So excited and willing to offer perspectives from that sense as well. Very excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Cool, awesome. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump into the questions that we have for our panel. Just wanted to kind of lay out a little bit of kind of some structure of what it would look like. I thought that it could be super helpful if you like to just go ahead and keep yourself muted. If you have questions that pop up, please write them down and make a note of it for yourself. There will be a Q&A section at the end where you'll be able to ask those questions. This is totally your choice, but something that I thought would be really fun is if you like, you're welcome to go ahead and select the speaker view of how you view each kind of tile or video of individuals. That way, as we move through the panel, whomever's speaking, you'd be able to kind of get that full picture of them in that panel. But again, totally comfortability, just something that I thought I would share with you all. You can find that speaker view on the top left-hand corner. It's going to be the kind of one single box versus the 2 boxes or the grid of 3x3s. Cool. Kath, go ahead and take it away.
All right, so for our panelists today, our first question is, what is one piece of advice that you would offer to students to stand out in a positive way as they prepare for life after college? And any one of you can start, whoever is ready to speak.
I can kick this off. This is Jeff here. This is the advice that I give to a lot of new students that I mentor that come in from college. And the advice that I kind of have is become your biggest advocate. So while you graduate, you're going to meet many people. You're going to meet some new friends, some managers, some mentors. But at the end of the day, you must be your biggest advocate. If you want something, speak up. I had a good friend of mine who told me in life, there's point A to point B. A lot of friends, family, mentors, people come through, but the only person that's there the entire time is yourself. So be your own advocate. Speak up today, speak up tomorrow, always be your own advocate.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that, Jeff. Any other one of our panelists interested in adding some tidbits to this question here?
This is Teresa, and you know, students. There's so many students that apply for positions and want to reach out, and I think the biggest thing that I notice with first generation students and maybe students that are diverse, but definitely first generation where I came from, is a lot of times we're not as kind of following up with what Jeff said as assertive or proactive as we need to be. And someone else will step right in front of you and talk to that recruiter or that person, and your opportunity is lost. So I would encourage you to really step out and also follow up. So a lot of times, especially in this virtual environment, the relationships you build are really important. And all of us are taking time in a busy day. Working virtually, you are working so much harder if you're working in a company or an organization. Everything is, I can't even believe how much harder, longer hours we have. So if any one of you send a thank you note to any of us for our time, that automatically makes you stand out. And a lot of career opportunities or opportunities that you might want to have will come up because we remember your name or remember you. And a lot of times something will come up and they'll say, who do you know? And my short-term memory is so small that out of all of you, if one or two of you stand out, that's who we'll go to, or we'll refer you to someone else, because all the employers were all connected to things. And I remember So Young, I don't remember very many people from Anschutz, honestly. I remember So Young. So when she reaches out, I'm happy to do anything for her. If someone else reaches out, I'll talk to them, but it's not an automatic yes. So.
Thank you, Teresa. I always remember you.
I remember you too. We get into trouble together. It's good.
I would like to second what Teresa was saying. I can't stress enough the importance of reaching out, stepping out of your comfort zone, especially not only for job positions, but also for applying to medical schools and applying to residencies. When you're applying to a program like Anschutz, where the acceptance rate's like 2% or 3% or so, offering very limited spots to people, take advantage of the opportunity to make a relationship through this virtual environment. Send a thank you email, send an email of interest or intent, and that way you really do get your name, I guess, more frequently across their screen. That way they do remember you. That's so important.
As for me, I would agree with Scott and Tedesca. It's really important to make those relationships, and you want to keep those relationships to really stand out, to show that you really care about those people you make those relationships with. But along with that, one piece of advice I would give is to start your CV or your resume right now and continue to add on to it throughout your entire college career. Because throughout your college career, you're going to be going to different events. You're going to be having different positions in clubs. And you want to be able to just add on to your CV throughout your entire year so you don't forget anything that you've been a part of. And that way, after you come out of college, you'll have your CV and your resume ready. You will have something that's tangible and something that forget on things that you're a part of. So it's good to start on your CV now. Just add to it as you go so that when that time comes to find a job, you're not scrambling to remember of things that you've done or things that you've volunteered for. So that's one thing I would advise students on right now.
Awesome. Thank you very much, panelists. Pavna, I was curious, did you have any thoughts on one piece of advice that you would provide for a student to stand out in a positive?
Yeah, I think all of my panelists here definitely covered on everything that I, thought about. But I would say that I don't know necessarily how to word this exactly, but you will make relationships throughout college, and you're going to make relationships with your professors, your mentors, the people that you meet in different events, and your colleagues. And it's so important to keep up with that network, because you never know who you're going to cross paths with and who you're going to need advice from and who you're going to, lean on to get some help, or be that person for someone else to provide resources for. So, I mean, as an example, when I recently left my job, I was able to refer one of my friends to it. And it was a friend who was looking for a job. And so I think you're going to come across so many people, and it's so important to have a genuine relationship with them. It's not always, I need something from you, but a genuine relationship.
I think that's a great way to put it, right? That's being genuinely curious in each other, genuinely interested in supporting each other. It's just like any other relationship you formed. Absolutely. Cool. Awesome. So for the next question, I wanted to start off with Teresa here. If you would answer this one first, I was really curious, what skills should students develop through internships or other college experiences that will really support them in their career direction or life after college?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is students a lot of times get hung up because they feel like they don't have experience. And yet, if we're coming to you, it's because we want your knowledge and how you're applying your knowledge. So really taking stock of the classes that you enjoyed, any of the projects that you did, to talk about, put them on your resume, what you did with the projects, what the result was of the project, and to be able to just discuss that. So executives, recruiters will probably assess your fit probably within a minute of meeting you. And one of the things that help you stand out is talk about, why are you majoring in this? Even if you don't know why, just pick something. Like I worked with graduate students and I talk to graduate students. I go, why are you going to graduate school? Well, and they'd say, if someone said, well, it's because I didn't know what to do after I graduated with my undergrad. So I went to my graduate degree. And I was like, okay, that's not attractive or sexy. It's like wanting to date someone who's desperate to get married. Gee, do you want to marry them? You should all be saying no. So I think right now what you want to do is really be excited about your whatever path you've chosen and have some intellectual curiosity about that. They'll say, why did you major in marketing? By the way, my undergraduate's in marketing and my master's in counseling. And to really talk about that, why you're interested, what kind of things keep you rumbling around. I remember a kid a student wanted to try to build a better tent, and he was a mechanical engineer, and he could talk about what keeps him up and what he's trying and things like that. Those stories that you're experiencing in life are what people remember. The other thing I challenge you to do, and I'll actually help you if you reach out to me. And this is one of those things that most people won't take me up on this, but I used to do a workshop on, the 30-second elevator pitch. Well, that's okay, but most people remember pictures, and especially men, they're very visual, so they'll remember a picture. And so I'd encourage you to come up with a word picture that describes you, because people will remember that. So how I say who I am to people is, and why they'll remember me and how they come to me is, I am the wide mouth of the funnel. Okay. So you'll remember, and everybody chuckles, yes, but that will go into their memory. I had someone who was majoring in sales or wanted to go into sales, and his friend said, you know what? He makes you want to drink the Kool-Aid. And so, those are things that there's a 30-second elevator pitch, but then there's the guy that makes you want to drink the Kool-Aid. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's about this cult and everybody died because they drank the Kool-Aid. So those are some of the things that I encourage you, is how you talk about your experience. And right now, the big thing that's going to help you all is how are you operating in a virtual environment, and tips that you have for anybody that you're talking to. Because you guys are the innovative ones, you love technology, you move around with it. Our interns were crazy good, crazy good. They did a Wheel of Fortune and had this PowerPoint contest. It was hilarious. I was rolling on the floor. They were so funny. And so a lot of times our execs love you guys because you're telling us how to navigate our future. And that should definitely be on your resume. That should, the first third of your resume is called the sizzle. And the sizzle should make everybody want to read farther down. So anyway, I'll stop here because obviously I've been doing this a long time. But talk to Nick, ask him, tell me more about that sizzle.
I'm gonna have to use that. That's a much better phrasing than I call prime real estate. I think sizzle's a lot more fun and sexy in that way.
You don't say commercial real estate. Anybody, I can tell you, don't go into commercial real estate right now. Bad.
That'd be very bad. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you for that, Teresa. Any of our other panelists, anyone like to add about skills that students should develop through internships or other college experiences?
I'll go. I think one of the most important skills that I've realized with my career path is just having the ability to, everything that Teresa said is absolutely correct, and I completely agree to that. But also being able to just hold a conversation. I can't tell you how many times like I've come across people like in interviews who get very awkwarded out because they understand that it's like people that they don't necessarily know and it's not in their comfort zone. But if you are able to have a conversation with someone who's a stranger, that is the only way you're going to get to know that person and be able to sell yourself or be able to, be that memorable person. So, and recruiters, they're meeting tons and tons and tons of people. So definitely have that, I call it the factor that makes you stand out. And also, like the recruiter doesn't feel uncomfortable with having a conversation with somebody that they don't know, that they're like definitely the professionals to do that, but you should also get used to like not being awkwarded out by approaching a random person.
I like to piggyback on that. So on both points, I think what I wrote down as far as a skill, I originally just kind of wrote soft skills, but in my mind, I was really thinking people skills. I was a very shy kid growing up. Even though I grew up in my parents' restaurant, but I met a lot of random strangers, but I was still very shy growing up and didn't know how to talk to people. And but in college, I found that it was the perfect opportunity. I loved actually asking students why they're majoring and what they're majoring in, because I know there's a story behind that. And I've kind of learned that I really then needed to have that story. I need to know my why. I need to know my reason. So with that, to get out of my comfort zone, I had to challenge myself. I had to be very curious. I wanted to learn more about people. I wanted to know why they were doing what they were doing, why they were studying what they were studying. And even in my own internship, I was very fortunate in my internship. I had several managers, and I got to know them a little bit more. And I'm actually still friends with a couple of them, and we'll get coffee every once in a while. But when I was there, I was very curious to, how did you land the job that you got now? Why are you sitting here right now? And why are you telling me you're spending 8 hours, 10 hours, 60 hours, whatever it is? How did you get here? And hearing those stories got me to realize that what I enjoyed doing was actually being a project manager. And it was those certain components and that kind of feedback that I got that actually helped me find my passion. And from my passion got me to get my people skills and made it easier to talk to people when I'm in interviews and made it easier for me to talk about my story.
Yeah, the value of an informational interview, just like Jeff was talking about, to be able to connect with a professional and talk to them about how did you get here? What did you do? What are the things that I should avoid? Is so, so valuable and highly underrated. Absolutely.
Nick, do you have a handout on informational interviews?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a whole resource inside Handshake in our resource library that talks about questions, philosophy, approaches, even sample scripts and things. Absolutely. And even too, you can always connect with me to talk about it and help you kind of navigate what that looks like, or even practice what it looks like with me too.
Because one of the things that I think students forget is, and I'd recommend you do that, an informational interview isn't asking for a job. It's really asking for information and building a relationship. Because asking for a job is a yes or no question, and you really want to avoid yes or no questions. But while you're a student, a lot of people will talk to you that normally wouldn't talk to you because they're looking at your potential. You can get executives, you can get all kinds of folks that will reach out and reach back and set up time with you because you're a student. And in this virtual environment, you can actually reach more people than normally because they're not traveling so much. We have a band and we're a global company, so everybody's kind of grounded. So you can probably reach more people right now, and I take that time. But once you graduate, it's a different story, and I don't know, maybe the alumni can talk about that. You're not going to get that vice president of someone that's never met you before. because everybody's going to be looking at what have you done for me lately. It's not that. As a student, it's looking at your potential. After you graduate, it's like, what have you done for me lately? And your access is greatly decreased.
Cool. So I want to see if any of our other panelists were interested in kind of adding some tips to this question related to what kind of skills should they develop in internships or other kinds of college experiences that help them prepare for career directions.
Just real quick, kind of what Jeff was talking about earlier about being able to develop a relationship or tell a story from an internship. I think one of the most common questions that you'll get asked at a medical school interview is, why are you choosing medicine? And I think that one of the best answers, or the best answer that you can give, is a meaningful story or an experience that you had through an internship that was meaningful to you and inspired you to do medicine. So that's also really important.
I can chime in here. For me, I'd say a skill that would be good to learn when you're going through college or internships is learning how to work in a team. Because right now, a lot of jobs right now require you to work in teams, and to work effectively, you have to be able to communicate with those teams and take constructive criticism from others. So I think one big thing when I went through going through rotations right now or going through internships is like a lot of the hospitals right now and jobs require you to work in teams. So you have to be able to just, find your sweet spot and be able to defend your ground and just learn how to work effectively in a team. So I think just gather those different skills from different internships and see how they work in teams and bring that to your next internship or your next college experience and learn from that.
I'll go ahead and jump in really quick and just mention something about failures. And I know it's something that everyone cringes away from and likes to think that I've never had any failures and let's just keep moving on, like I've just been successful. But a lot of times you'll notice, whether it's an internship interview or a professional job interview or just an interview for anything, a lot of people will ask you, what are some of your weaknesses and what are some of your failures? And a lot of times people will just say, oh my gosh, I'm just too helpful and I'm just too nice. And this is where authenticity comes in. And I think it's very important to be authentic. It's okay to admit that you've had failures, and then what you've done with them. I think that's the most important part. So I think it's critical for you to understand, it's okay to have failures, but it's the story that the recruiter or the interviewer is looking for is that, what did you do with that failure? So think of that as well.
Yeah, and that triggers something else that I deal with every year right now. And I'm going to tell you, I know I worked in a career center, but you should be slamming Nick with appointments. And so one of the things that when I worked at the graduate school for Daniels College of Business, I said to people, if you get an interview or you get an offer, don't do anything before you contact me. And I would say that for Nick is, if you get an interview, phone interview or whatever, or an offer, don't do anything until you contact him, because you can totally blow it and you had it right in your hand. And the reason I say that is we've had students not know how to negotiate, and they actually almost blew their offer because of how they answered and what they wanted, and they didn't know about the market or anything. And Nick could actually reach out to me and say, hey, we have a student that got an offer. I'm trying to help them gauge and figure out what to do, and I'll totally help him. I remember there was one company when I worked in the Career Center, and if any student counter offered, they withdrew the offer because they felt like they gave their best offer. And I was really glad as a career counselor I knew that. The other thing you want to know is what goes on with background checks, drug screens, things like that. A lot of students won't pass background if they take someone else's prescription medicine and it shows up and they don't have a prescription, we will withdraw the offer, and most employers will. Also with marijuana, most companies follow federal guidelines, and even though it's legal in the state, it's not legal in for federal. If we have federal contracts or anything, and you will lose your offer then as well. And so our internships, if you're a senior, will convert to full-time, so you can actually lose your job. So I'm telling you all that because I hate losing students for silly things like that. So there's my 2 cents. I had to tell somebody, and you were the lucky recipients today. Can you tell I'm a little frustrated?
Well, thank you so much for all your responses. We'll be going on to the next question. How relevant is your current work to your undergraduate major? And then outside of your major degree, what helped you get into your position? Feel free to jump in.
I'm gonna call on Pavna.
You know, I was really hoping you wouldn't. But I guess this is why I'm here. Okay, so this is gonna be a fun story. I received my bachelor's in science with psych and bio, and minored in ethnic studies. And I was pretty certain that I wanted to go to medical school. And then I was a part of student government, and there was a Teach for America recruiter who asked me to just advertise this to the student body. I was more than willing to do so. And in that process, the recruiter asked me why I didn't want to apply. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, have you ever just thought about becoming a teacher? And I was like, no. And so I'm like, I have this path set and it's ready to go, and this is what I'm going to do. And the recruiter was like, well, keep in mind that in medical school, there's a lot of applicants, right? And just doing something like Teach for America would be a great added bonus into your resume. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll give it a try. And so then I gave it a try, and I became a science teacher for 2 years. And my only contingency was with Teach for America that I got to stay in Denver. I had already moved from India, and I had no interest in moving out of Denver at that point. And I'll tell you, the last interview was so competitive. Like, they started out with such a huge group, and by the last interview, there was like 10 people left. And it was crazy. And I had to think of how I could stand out. And so I wore my cultural outfit to go give them a lesson about Hinduism. And it totally, like, within an hour, I had an offer in my hand, and they agreed to letting me stay in Denver. Did I think it was crazy? Absolutely. Walking into downtown Denver wearing my cultural outfit and catching a bus to get to the building was insane. But I was really happy to do that because, I mean, of course, I got a lot of attention, and I ended up getting a job after from it. And Teach for America, awesome. And they paid for my master's degree. 90% of it, to be honest with you. And while I was doing my master's in education, so to answer that question, no, my degree was for medical school and it didn't work out that way, but I became a science teacher and honestly learned so much more about science while I was teaching it than when I was in the classroom. And then I was like, great, I'm gonna now start applying for medical school. And one of my parents of my student approached me in towards my end of my second year and was like, hey, I have an opportunity at a housing company, so Oakwood Homes, and they were a really fast growing company, and they needed somebody to do a lot of the trainings on the ERP system that they were using that liaisons didn't know how to use. And so I got a chance to, and of course she said that, she's like, just try it out, and if you don't like it, you can keep doing whatever you want. And I was like, great, I'll try it out. So I went in and gave my interview, got the job, and started teaching people started training people on the ERP system. So then after that, I went to a job fair And my boss really enjoyed those stress balls. And I totally have to turn on my camera for this. And sorry, I look like a mess. But my manager was like, I really want those stress balls. And he's like, go get this for me. And I was like, fine, I'll go get it for you. So I went to go get it. And the recruiter was like, just leave your information. If you're ever interested in other jobs, like I'll reach out to you. And I was like, okay. She reached out to me and I ended up getting into gas and oil. And that position was, it started off as me being a trainer and just setting our workplace and making sure that I was teaching the common principles and the values of the company, while also doing customer service work. And then my manager really started giving me a lot of like reports to analyze for him. And with the experience that I had with teaching and the ERP system training and then data, I was like, one day I was sitting in his office and I was like, I really like data and I want you to know that. And he's like, really? And he's like, I was like, yeah, I really like it. He's like, what about project management? I was like, sure. I love organizing things. Event planning is my favorite thing to do. So I was like, I'll do it. And he's like, what do you mean you'll do it? I was like, so anything you have, just throw it in my plate. I'll take care of it. And he's like, okay. And then the next day I slept on it for 3 hours and I was like, I want to do my master's of science in information systems. And he was like, okay, well then apply for it. And I applied for it. And unfortunately, I'm no longer with the company right now, but they paid for 1.5 years of my tuition. And now I am in the field of information systems. And it's really exciting because every class that I take, although everyone's like, isn't it exhausting? Why are you doing your second master's? I'm like, I love it. And it makes me just excited. So I will tell you, my career pathway was not linear, nor was my degree related to what exactly I wanted to do. But my college experience was everything that led me to it. My ability to build relationships, my ability to take risks, and ability to not be afraid of change. Like it led me to all these different careers and every job that I've done. So with teaching, I got my first master's. With the housing industry, I was able to buy my first house on my own, and I was 23. So, and then with GPT, which was the gas and oil company, I got my 1.5 years of master's tuition paid. So very thankful for all the twists and turns. And my advice to you is have gratitude and be able to build those relationships and always display that you're willing to take anything that's thrown your way. And you may struggle and you may fail, but you are going to get the task done. So that is it. That is my story.
Wow, Ms. Mohan, if you chose to apply to medical school now, you would be the most qualified candidate.
I'm telling you, Scott, I may just come join you and I'll be in rotations alongside you. Who knows? I'm a lifetime learner.
We could work night shifts together. It would be a blast. It'd be so much fun. I'll try to follow that story up. As a biology major and as a person in medical school, you would think that I'd probably use biology every single day. That's not the case. I think my biology degree was helpful for like half a semester of medical school, and the rest has been my ability to make meaningful human connections with my patients, the ability to, I think someone had mentioned this, go up to a stranger or converse with strangers and then build a connection within minutes and have a trusting relationship between your patients is super important. And that it doesn't come from, physics or biochem 101 or anything like that. That really comes from your experiences with working with people and working with patients. Before medical school, I did an internship called the Hotspotters program, where I basically functioned as a social worker in the emergency department at University of Colorado. Basically, I help connect people without insurance. First of all, help them enroll into insurance that they qualified, patients who qualify for Medicaid, and then we connected them with primary care providers. And so I got to work with a population that was underserved in Aurora, and many people who spoke different languages, people of different socioeconomic backgrounds, and then making relationships with them before medical school has helped me make relationships with my patients in the ICU, in the family medicine setting, with pediatrics. And so I would say that the ability to converse, the ability to make relationships, the ability to really put yourself out there is probably more important than those science classes I worked so hard for.
I will say really quick, Scott and I were in student government together, and honestly, the guy has so much charisma. He's just a cool guy.
She's not wrong, Scott. You don't need to be shy. He's not wrong.
I know he's not shy. He's probably like grinning. I can't see his camera, but I'm sure he's smiling. And Jeff, you have a lot of charisma too, so don't get shy either.
I think everyone on the panel has charisma. That's why you were invited.
That is true. I'm
like,
blushing. I'm totally blushing.
I'd like to share a quick little story. And this was actually my first day at my job out of college. I mentioned I got into a software company, so I got a job at Oracle and got hired as a supply chain consultant. I got hired with a batch of 6 other students from all around the state, and we brought in. And I get to know my colleagues real quick, my new colleagues. I wanted to get to know them because we're all on the same page, and I find that a handful of them, every single one of them has some kind of a technology background, had some kind of a supply chain background. And I looked at that and I said, man, I came from a marketing and management background. And so for days, for months, I got really close with my team. And I talked to my teammate one day and I said, hey, Bethany, this is a weird question, but I don't know why I got hired. And I know that's a really weird thing to say, but I look at that and I say, man, it doesn't seem like I fit. Like if you were looking at the job description, I don't know where and I had a one-on-one with my manager one of these days. And I said, hey, Scott, I don't know. I'm a little confused. Like I love what I'm doing. I think this is great. I love consulting. I love the technology. I think this is awesome. But I have to ask question is what made you like make that decision? And my manager says, Jeff, you are the glue of the team. You make the team run. You make them passionate. You make them motivated. You make them want to work with you. I thought that was very interesting. And I kind of reflected back a little bit more and I realized that it's really about people. It's about those relationships and how you're able to make those connections. And it's very interesting because of that group of 6, some of them are still at the company, some of them are not. And the ones that have left keep calling me back and says, Jeff, we want you at our company. You need to come over and work with us. And they just, and it's one of those things that I think I've realized it's the impact that you make on people. Right. There's that quote that says it's the thing that people remember most is how you made them feel. And for me personally, and the teams that I work with, I always treat them like they're my family because I grew up in my parents' restaurant and it was always a family. We were one tight group always and always had each other's back. And that's kind of how I've worked. And it's interesting because my internship, my job, and all the positions that I've had in my company thus far has always actually been through networking, the relationships that I've made in my career. So I found that just kind of be very interesting from the beginning where I realized that I didn't seem like I was truly doing marketing and management. And then outside of my degree, the things that got me into the positions that I'm in today were the people that I know, right? I know I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but it is very true. It's those relationships, and don't underestimate that ever. That was my little story.
Thanks, Jeff. Would you, Teresa, or Justin, like to add to these amazing stories about your undergrad and how relevant your major is to what you are doing with your first job and what you're doing now?
I'd say for mine, biology is pretty relevant for pharmacy, especially because I have to really be able to know the human body and how medications really react with the body. So a lot of the times, like on rotations, the doctor will ask me certain questions on certain medications, like, do you think this would be appropriate for this patient's condition based off these certain lab values on how their body's doing? And I have to be able to connect all the biology, all the chemistry I've learned, and really think about, oh yeah, that would be safe for the patient to be taking, or that won't be safe for the patient to be taking. And then I'd have to figure out other alternatives if those certain medications don't work with that patient. So applying my biology and chemistry was really something I had to relearn from undergrad and learn more beyond on like how medications would work. So I'd say biology really applied. But as Scott and everyone else mentioned, as well, especially in healthcare, you have to be able to learn how to really have empathy for patients and really engage with patients and build those relationships, because they're trusting you with their lives. So biology wasn't everything, and it applied to pharmacy, but there's still other things you can learn on top of that to really help you in my future career. So that's what I would have to say about that.
I'm so glad I went first. Sorry.
I'm a graduate in marketing, and I would say yes, it applies now, but I couldn't tell you one class that I took or how I'm using it. But generally, marketing applies, and I would say it always has. In that I need to. I'm a cheerleader for my program, so Jan will tell you that we have to make sure people love what we do, and it's not only that interns or even career centers or whoever are good, but you have to really brand what you do and, figure out what difference and what our niche is and how we make a difference. So I would say I use it all the time. But I don't know that, I would get hired to do marketing in my job. I said it's an important function, but it wasn't a job. So, and the only thing I would say about my career path that I learned is that a lot of times people want to know what you want to do as a function, but it's also important to pay attention to culture and what kind of role you play in that organization or whatever you're going to do. So if you don't fit the culture of wherever you are, not only will you not be happy, but you won't be successful. And so it's real important to understand what kind of culture you fit and to do that homework. I remember the military tried to recruit me when I was a career counselor at CSU to do some, stuff for them once or twice a month, and I'd make money. And I go, you have no idea. I was an at-risk adolescent and I'm horrible at following rules. And I said, no. So I knew myself. But the other thing that I learned about myself a few years ago is that how do I make a difference in wherever I show up? Every one of my jobs that I have enjoyed have been brand new roles. They didn't exist, and so they needed someone to take it from concept to implementation. So every job I can think of, as far back as I go, was a brand new job, and they were looking for the right person, not just a certain skill set. So I just wanted to pass that on as things to think about for yourself, because it's not always just the function of what you're going to do. It's where you're going to work and the way you personally make an impact.
I'm going to go ahead and piggy off of that because that is so relevant to what I also believe. And this might just be extending the questions. What I wanted to say was, guys, please don't be afraid of failure. And that's like my biggest thing that I just always talk about, because even in classes, you'll learn, you'll get a quiz score back and you're going to be like, this is I studied so hard for this. Why did I get this grade? Right. And if I think back to the skills that college taught me, one of the things that it taught me was how to persevere. And when you fail, there's always a lesson to be learned. And through those lessons, you will get into a path that you didn't think of. And from there, if you are so passionate about something that you're doing or working on, I promise you there will be opportunities that are created just for you. So when I was in my last company, my position didn't exist either. And nor did they expect somebody to be like, yeah, I want to go get my master's on this, right? And I definitely advocated for myself to why I believe that they should reimburse my tuition. And so from there, like when I'm almost done, I was like, well, you guys are paying for my school. Like, don't you want me to utilize what I'm learning? And then my position of project and continuous improvement manager was created. And so like, there is ways for you to grow, and culture has a huge part in it. If you feel good about the culture of your company, if you feel like you are adding value and you're a important member of that company, there will definitely be scope for you. But I was one of those kids who really just hated failing or just not winning, and just completely very, very competitive. And I would say I'm still competitive, but I can accept failure and know what to do with it now. So that's the part of growing old. And I found my first gray hair. So you guys know.
I bet I'm older.
Well, you look younger than me, okay? I have white hair now.
I go to a hairdresser.
I don't do that.
Really young.
No, I think those are all wonderful stories. And panelists, I think you really did a great job encapsulating that, our direction isn't this nice linear path from major selection to retirement, but it's about understanding what your value add is, what your why statement is, what is your strengths that you bring to a particular culture, and being able then to identify how you can navigate the career world through that lens of what engages you, what excites you, what is that thing that you bring that nobody else does, and really leveraging those strengths. And there's a whole theory around happenstance in the career development world, but it is about creating opportunities through those connections and what you value, your value add is, and bring to organizations. All right, cool. So I'll go ahead and I'll move into our next question. This is, I think, a really fun question in my perspective of, so panelists, if today you could go back and communicate to your undergrad self, right? Maybe that freshman, sophomore year self, what would you say? What would be the opportunity that you would ask or tell them, recommend yourself to take? So what was that opportunity that you would recommend your younger self or your college age self take on? Any panelist is welcome to jump in here.
Okay, so I'll just jump in really quick and say that's a really hard question for me, because I am definitely the person who's like, nope, just take this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I'll like stretch myself super thin because of that, because I hate saying no. And I'm always afraid of missing out. And for that reason, like I will take on multiple opportunities, which is why my career path isn't very linear. But I finally feel like I'm at a point of my life where I can explain why I'm getting my master's and why I'm getting it in that field, and why I want to do what I want to do, and why this is going to be my career. The only thing, if I can think of, that I didn't do in college was study abroad. And COVID's really put a lot of damp in a lot of those things, so I'm sorry. But I wish I would have studied abroad, because I waited until after I was done with college. I was like, I'm going to study so hard, and I'm totally going to get like a great job and make my parents so proud, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and everything's going to be just so great. And I waited to travel. And so I wish I didn't. I wish I would have just went in that way, because I look at life as everything is like your narrative, right? Like you're writing your own book, and then people are intrigued and they want to know your stories. And just traveling and getting to know a different culture and experiencing that different everything is a great chapter in your book of life. So.
Yeah, if I had the opportunity to converse with myself 4 years ago, I would first tell him to put all his money into Amazon stocks. Then he wouldn't have to worry about med school loans. And secondly, I would tell him, as a pre-med, I felt like I had to do, I had to check a box. I had to do research, and I had to do volunteering, and I had to do this and this and this and this, and I felt like I was doing a lot of things that maybe I wasn't so passionate about, and I was doing it just to put it on my resume and and honestly not very powerful or meaningful to me. And I really couldn't talk much about it during my interviews. I think if I were to go back, I would tell them, hey, these aren't check boxes. These are suggestions. These are things that to make yourself a well-rounded candidate, and tell them hey, you should pick some activities and experiences that that you want to do, that you love, that you're passionate about. That way you can make, 1 or 2 meaningful experiences rather than do 6 or 7 really uneventful or unmeaningful experiences for yourself. And if I had done that, I feel like college would have been, would probably slept a little more, have a little fewer wrinkles on my face. And so that's probably the advice I would give.
I was so anxious. I remember my sophomore year, and I'm thinking of all the things I was carrying with me. I think I was one of those students that changed their majors 5 times. I had to pay my own way through school. My parents, wanted me to be really successful. They didn't know what that meant, because they didn't go to college, but they wanted me to be successful, and they, like to brag about me, and that they also wanted me to come back and do the family business, which was a bowling alley in Buffalo, Wyoming, population 4,000. We moved there when I was 14 from Southern California, and after living in Japan. And I will say Buffalo, Wyoming was my most diverse experience. It was a tough haul transition. But I felt like I was carrying all that. In my sophomore year, I really struggled with school. And I remember wanting to talk to my parents, but not feeling I could talk to them. Because if I talked to them, then I'd have to take care of them too, because they just wanted me to be successful and happy. And so I think I tell myself, you know what, it's going to work out. Don't worry about how things are going to work out. Think about why you're doing this and the long-term goal, because so many things have changed, and I'm so happy. I feel so blessed to do what I do. I have no idea how I got here, but being anxious was really a waste of energy. And honestly, the people that love us are going to love us no matter what we end up doing, which is a great thing to lean into. So that would sort of be, is I tell myself, not be so anxious. It works out pretty well. You're going to be really happy, and your parents will be proud. And so you changed your major 5 times. You took forever to go through school. It worked out. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Teresa, Pavna, and Scott. Would any of you like to add into that, add to this question at least?
Yeah, I would say if I could go back, I'd probably tell myself to really go and shadow more career paths. As I remember back when I was a freshman, I did not know what I wanted to do. And when I was able to, meet Soyeon, and she offered me the advice to join different programs and clubs. I was in a program called HIP program, or the Health Interest Program. And I would have not known about that if I didn't meet Soyeon. So I commend her for that, and I really appreciate her for that. And this program allowed me to shadow many different programs and many different careers. And that's when I found out pharmacy was really cool, and I really wanted to go into pharmacy. But if I didn't have the HIP program, I wouldn't be able to know what it would have been like to, be an MD, or what it would be like to be a dentist or anesthesiologist or a nurse. So that program really helped me shadow those different career paths, and really showed me, I don't really want to be, dealing with that sort of type of work or be on the computer 24/7. So I think if I could go back, I would just tell myself, just go and shadow more and try to gain that experience and see where you would want to see yourself in like 10, 20 years.
Just also is, I have a hard stop at 7 o'clock, just so you know.
Would you like to add anything, Jeff?
The only last thing I want to kind of add is if I were to go back, I think I would tell myself to do a little bit more of what I'm doing, which was trying to surround myself with people that I want to become, surround myself with people who are willing to help. I think when you go into college, if you're a first generation student, even if you're just a freshman, you see all these different opportunities, all these different things. And I think one thing that I recognized at CU Denver was that because we're a commuter school, a lot of students would go into class, and then when they're done with the classes, they go straight home. And you walk through about 27 different banners and posters that says help here, career center there, all these different things, and you don't leverage it, right? It's clearly there. I understand that not everybody's on campus and, because of COVID, but there is a plethora of resources that are out there, and people who really genuinely just want to help, use it, right? Leverage it. It all just kind of starts somewhere, right? I got to meet Soyan brought me to so many other different opportunities and people, and from there it just kind of expanded. And just don't be afraid to ask for help. Start with one thing, go there and see. And I promise you, even if you went to Nick right now and you were asking him about something, and if it's something that he doesn't know, he will find somebody who does know that answer and be able to support you, right? The university is here to help you succeed. So that's kind of my little advice to myself and reminder.
Yeah, and I would piggyback on that too, in that with all of you, there's somebody, you're here because somebody saw you and they could see what you're about. And I would probably within the next 24 hours try to reach out to that person and just thank them for what they've done. And maybe even try to schedule a 15-minute conversation with them or something. But I think we attract what we radiate out. And so I think radiating out gratitude. I mean, I can think of like so young, I had Dolores Cardona, which totally, she touched, helped me get in touch with my identity and everything. And she changed. She was pivotal in my life, how I ended up getting a master's in counseling and working with diversity and stuff. So I think in trio programs. And so I would say if you can in the next 24 hours, reach out to that person that has been pivotal for you in your career, I think that's a really good thing to do. And you're going to start attracting more folks as you radiate that gratitude for that person.
All right. So I'm gonna add another panelist. We have another alumni who just joined in. Her name is Marianne. She will be answering for any of the questions after that she feels comfortable answering. So just letting you know if there's another person speaking, she's the other panelist we'll be having jump in for some of the questions here. Yeah. I guess we'll just do one more question. Actually, I'm going to leave this open to the panelists instead. Pick between 5 or 6, whichever you're more comfortable, and just feel free to answer. The two questions we have here are, what did you do in your job search to help you land your first position after college? That can be in regards to research skills or studying abroad. I think Hafna touched base on that. So if any of you also want to touch base on that, feel free to do so. The other question that we have out here that we would like to hear from y'all would be number 6. If you are currently a student, what would you do right now to stay focused, continue learning, and stay on track professionally? I know it's going to be different from the experiences that you all had when you were in college, but maybe being able to put yourself in those shoes and giving advice to our students here would be nice. So feel free to pick whichever question you feel more comfortable answering.
This is an advice that I started giving to some of the students that I mentor who are in college and are struggling because of COVID and being at home. One of the things that I've done when I was in college was getting to know my professors a little bit more. I think that is an advice that is kind of thrown out quite a bit, but genuinely understanding and asking them. I think what was great for me, a lot of my professors, a lot of these business professors, they worked in the business world. They were in it, were in the grind and understood a lot. They were in small businesses, corporate, and getting to kind of understand and getting to know them. Some things that I would highly recommend is, if possible, send your professor an email and ask if you can stay an extra 20 minutes and just to have a chat, just to have a call with them, to kind of talk. Something else also for me, my friends have always said that I was very extroverted. I didn't want to believe them until I was locked in at home for several months. And one of the biggest things that I recognize is I need to be able to connect with my colleagues one way or another. So something that is extremely helpful for me, and I recommend to the students, is find a small group of folks that you're going to class with and get on a Zoom together. Talk, whether it be just doing homework. Something that I personally do with my own coworkers, is because we don't get to hang out and talk too much, is Friday mornings, I would set up a coffee session. So everybody's just kind of working, but everybody's on the Zoom eating coffee, eating breakfast, just kind of hanging out and just catching up on life. I think that in itself is very important and something that we should not forget as we're kind of at home, right? I was talking about the commuter thing. It's maybe even worse now, right? All you have to do is just close your laptop and you go about your day. But don't forget, get to know your colleagues a little bit more, understand them, and work on those social skills also at the same time.
So I would agree with Jeff. As a pharmacy student right now, so I had to go through online schooling for part of my pharmacy for my last my P3 year. And one thing that really helped me is what Jeff was talking about, is create little meetings with your group of friends. That way you can hold each other accountable for studying for different exams, for studying for quizzes and stuff like that. And it just keeps you motivated throughout going through COVID and just staying on the computer. But another thing that helped me too was create a schedule for yourself. That way you have a specific amount of time to study on the computer. And, after that, maybe go to the gym, take your eyes off the computer, so you're not just constantly just staring at the computer for the entire time. Because now it looks like our lives are going to be revolving around electronics and being on the computer. So I'd say, create a schedule, make time for yourself, make sure you eat, you sleep, and you just, take care of yourself.
And kind of just adding to what Justin and Jeff said, I definitely agree that maintaining those social connections are important, specifically with your professors, going after graduation, going into grad school applications and trying to find recommendations from previous professors. It's really good to build those relationships while you can, so that when you do ask for recommendations in the future, you have someone that you can go to. And also, I know this isn't necessarily staying on track professionally, but just maintaining contact with your friends, just having regular Zoom meetings, doing stuff you like painting or, just hanging out, and kind of maintaining that work-life balance, I think is really important, not only for mental health, but just to enjoy your time with your friends. I know it can be hard with social distancing, but there are ways to still have fun and, maintain that balance while in school.
Hi, Marian. It's so good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We started with just giving a little bit of background information. If you could just sort of talk about what you studied and what your dream job was. And I think your personal story of your change is so inspirational. If you wouldn't mind talking about that.
Yeah, thank you, Soyan, for having me too. So hello, everyone. My name is Marian Friel, and I was the former president of CASL, Filipino Student Association at CU Denver. I graduated in May of 2019 with a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology. And so I just wanted to briefly add to the topic that I was hearing earlier about not needing to follow kind of a linear path in your career. And so just by sharing my story. So I was accepted into the Anschutz School of Medicine in November of 2018. and I had plans to begin this program in the fall of 2019. However, after some time in medical school, I chose to take a leave of absence and ultimately not pursue a career in medicine. This was a very tough decision for me because it was contingent on so many factors. The biggest factor being that I could not picture myself being happy as a physician. However, it was the fact that I no longer felt passionate about the field, as well as many other factors such as priority shifts, a work-life balance, and a feeling of social isolation that led me to my decision. I have not regretted making this decision, however, and since making it, I've actually moved twice, gotten married, and started on my path towards obtaining a Master of Social Work degree. And so the main message I wanted to share just briefly is that it's okay to change your career path, and it's never too late. You know, coming from someone that was already in medical school, deciding to do something else, it's never too late. I just want to get that across. Also, if you are pre-med, please do not let my decision deter you from your dreams. You know, everyone has their own unique path, and I will support you in anything you do. But to those that may feel that you have a similar decision to make or a similar change that you're kind of considering, I'm always here to chat. I think my email will be provided in the Zoom chat. And I just want to leave you with a quote by F. Scott Fitzgerald that has helped me a lot. So it's, for what it's worth, it's never too late to be whoever you want to be. I hope you live a life you're proud of. And if you find that you're not, I hope you have the strength to start over.
Thank you so much. I mean, and when you share that, it was so powerful, because I hear this a lot. We're talking to students one-on-one, where they often pursue a major because that's the expectation of what their parents want or what the pressure from their family. And for me, as a first generation college student, sometimes we have very limited perspective on the kind of careers there are. And that's why we really wanted to partner with the Career Center, because it can really broaden your perspective on all the different careers that are available that'll maximize on your interests, your skills, and your passion. And so I appreciate you, Marian, for talking about your change in career trajectory, and I think Pavna talked about that as well. And I know some of our students, they've been very focused, but you just never know, 10 or 20 years from now, where we're going to be. And I think, one of the things that Teresa emphasized is just the importance of being able to be a good communicator, being empathetic, being able to, develop those relationships that all the panelists, I think, have been really focused on. And like you all know, it's, we call it charisma, but a lot of people call it emotional quotient, being able to relate to people of different backgrounds and how to make those personal connections. So thank you, Marian, for being here and sharing your story, because I think more students need to hear it. And I don't want to take away, because we have a couple more minutes, but I have to say, when I think about what you all shared, it's so inspirational. So I just want to thank all the panelists, so far for their contributions. Take it away, Nick.
No, I would have to second that. I think it's, again, hearing from others, hearing from alumni or employer connections of, knowing that it's not a simple path, that it does take a lot of introspection and failure and meeting people and letting it evolve naturally. And I think that's something I always share with students, is that you evolve, you change. Why would your career be anything different? It will change and evolve with you. And so it is absolutely a nature of this world to make those changes and learn new things and try out different opportunities to really figure out what is that best expression of you to make that impact in the world that we're all looking to make. So I know we only have about a few more minutes left within the panel or within the event itself. I did want to be able to kind of relate and be able to say really quickly that a lot of what the panelists have shared today, the Links Connect office and the Career Center are here to help. You know, what is your story? What's your why? How do you communicate professional identity with employers or with recruiters? How do you do an informational interview to be able to learn a little bit more about these potential fields or anything of the nature? And also too, those fun things around resumes and cover letters or small talk or anything of that nature. I think it's really important to know that there isn't a one recipe for success, and that I'm here to test this stuff out with you, and my entire team and office is here to help you navigate this complex and confusing world at times. And so please, like Teresa had said, please abuse me, use me, knock down my door. I'm always here for you throughout that whole process as well. So just wanted to go ahead, and if we could just maybe do some claps, do some finger snaps, be able to thank all of our panelists and everybody coming in today. We thank you so much for your time, so much for your insights, Soyeon getting us all together for this as well, and CASL bringing everybody together. This has been wonderful and very informative. And so just got to open it up for our CASL leaders and say, are there any other final thoughts or questions that you would like to wrap up with?
I want to introduce our president, Kathy Lay. She's done with her exam. So Kathy, thank you. She was instrumental in putting this together.
Hi, everyone. So I couldn't make it to the beginning of the meeting because I was taking my biochemistry exam, but I'm glad that's over with. But I'm happy and glad that we had a good amount of people that attended the meeting tonight. So thank you all for dedicating your time and just like listening to our panelists. And thank you, panelists, for collaborating with CASL and also Links Connect. That way we can share a lot of advice to all of our students at CU Denver and even community members because we open it up to them. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kathy Lee. I am a senior at CU Denver. I've been involved with CASL ever since my freshman year, and I've been dedicated to that club ever since. I was the chair my sophomore year. I was co-chair with Judy Tran last year, and now I serve as the chair again this year. So I definitely have a passion and drive for this club, and I want to keep it going even after I graduate. But again, thank you all so much for coming tonight. We look forward to hopefully seeing you all at future events.
One word of advice, or not one word, but just one last advice. I know Teresa has to leave at 7, so this is your platform because everything you shared was so valuable.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here, and very passionate about all of you as students, and excited to have an opportunity to pay it forward. So please, Soyeon knows, she knows my personal cell number. She knows a lot, maybe too much.
We ask her to speak a lot.
and Nick as well. One last thing I want to let you know is with this virtual environment, one of the changes that's happened is students have more time because they're not going to class, and a lot of them are interested in working now and not just an internship, and trying to find a job in exploring in a different field or trying something. And I know Arrow is looking at hiring students that might be hired as a summer to have them start now working part-time. And I have an employer group that we meet every other week and we just chat, and they're all big employers in the state. So it's not just us, it's everybody else. That's a shift that you might want to be aware of, that if you have more time, you might look at doing some part-time work somewhere. And it's not necessarily an internship, but it can be related to your major or your interests or anything. So again, your career center, that's where we reach out. And so hit them hard.
So hint, follow up with Teresa. Can you make sure you add your email, Teresa, in the chat?
The chat? Okay, I will. But everybody, thank you so much. It was a pleasure and it's an honor to be among you. And you guys are rocking it so much better than I did at your age. So thank goodness, you know, the species is moving forward.
So. Yeah, I'm so hopeful. This generation, you're gonna solve the problems. Thank you.
And then my eye. Okay.
Yeah. Any last words of advice, Jeffrey, Pavna, Justin?
I will just say
If you have any questions, concerns, or want to know more about my story or anything, I promise I don't bite. You can always reach out. So, and yeah, I'm restarting my life as a student again. So I can relate on how you feel and can also share my experiences. So yeah.
She's a lifelong learner. She's awesome. Jeffrey?
I'm going to kind of just share the same sentiment, right? If anybody needs to reach out, please do. Soyeon has my personal number. I did drop my personal email on there as well. One last little thing is I did drop a screenshot of just kind of advice that I typically share with students on the chat if anybody want to take a look at that. One of the main advices that I want to mention, I don't know how many of you, I know not everybody's on camera, but I think in your head, how many of you have been, if you can raise your hand and say, oh, I've been compared to somebody else, right? My mom always compares me to somebody else, my cousin, my uncle's aunt's dog, whatever it is, I've always been compared. Guys, please try not to compare yourself to others people too much, right? You yourself should be the one defining your success, nobody else. Truly, only you are defining your success. Please remember that, guys. That'd be my last little note.
Justin, last words of advice?
Yeah, I put in my email too in the chat. So if anybody had any questions about Anschutz or anything like that, you can reach out. But for me, I would say in undergrad, really value it and taking as many experiences as you can. I actually kind of miss undergrad. It was a lot of fun. But I would say use Soyeon and use all the services on the campus because it's all provided to you and they're really there to help you excel in your future. And Soyeon was a really big part of my my success right now. So I'd say really get to know her, and then she'll be able to lead you on and find other forms of or other she'll be able to open other doors for you, so you can gain other experiences and really go where you want to go. So that's what I have to say.
And I got a request, if you all are comfortable, if we could turn on our cameras, we could do a group photo. Kathy, could you take the group photo if everyone is okay?
Do that.
I did comb my hair.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
And if you don't feel comfortable, it's okay. But we want to capture it. And just so you know, we are going to send the Zoom link of the recording because I felt like the information you all shared as panelists was so rich. And I think other students could benefit from hearing the recording. And we're also going to share just a evaluation just for feedback on what you liked and what we could do better in future sessions. So be expecting that. And also, Dang wisdom, Dang's wisdom. He has some great notes on advice that he can give, and Nick's contact and everyone's contact. So everyone who feels comfortable, let's do a photo op.
All right, ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Smile. Okay.
Oh my God, my eyes were closed.
I'll take one more for good measure. How about that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do one more. 3, 2, 1. Smile.
I feel better.
Thank you all.
That's one thing that hasn't changed. We always take pictures. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Kat, for
you.
facilitating, and all our panelists. You are phenomenal. Oh my God, such wealth of information and knowledge.
Thank you. See you, Denver. You all rock.
Please fill out the eval form in the Zoom link if you haven't already. Thank you so much. It'll help us improve for our future meetings. But again, I'd just like to thank everyone for your time tonight and listening in to all of our panelists and everyone that helped organize this meeting tonight. So
The CASL board.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, CASL board. I'll send it out. Okay, thanks. Have a good day. Good night. Bye.
Good night, Sayan. Night.
Bye.
Callie, good night.